M Evelina Galang.
Galang.
Her new novel is Angel de la Luna and the Fifth Glorious Mystery. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
I think I first have to ask the question on everyone's mind. What does the M stand for?
Miami. That is not the question on everyone's mind, but I will tell you. My full name is Maria Evelina Galang, which is something I've never given in an interview before, which is very traditional Filipino, very Filipino to have Maria as a first name. And in the Philippines, they would normally put M.A. period, Evelina Galang. But I didn't really think that the American audience was ready for that.
Would know what the heck is going on.
They'd call me Ma. It would be a problem, so I put the M there.
Tell us about your new book.
My new book is a coming-of-age story of a young woman who is actually 14 when the book begins, and it's a mother-daughter story. And in the opening of the book, they're looking for her father. Her father has gone missing, and the family has all these great plans to move from Manila in the Philippines to the United States, but he has gone missing. And in fact, they find that he has gotten into an accident and passed away. So everything in the family changes, and it's really a story about the mother and the daughter trying to find their way in America.
You made your name with the short story collection Her Wild American Self and the award-winning novel One Tribe, which are stories about Filipino Americans. People who were born here, your heroines were born here, raised in a Filipino culture, but they're Americans. This book, though, is about Filipino characters. What led you to make that leap to write about full Filipino characters from the actual Philippines?
Versus the United States. So I have been doing research on surviving Filipina comfort women of World War II since about 1998. And I've spent a lot of time in the Philippines working with activists and meeting young women and older women and people part of the movement for the Filipina comfort women, going to protests with them and taking up their fight. So one of the things that I wanted to do, which is separate than the essays I was writing about the women, was to really pay attention to those who support the Filipina comfort women, the young activists. And so I got to know quite a few of them, and that's where the story began.
Briefly, for those who don't know, who were the comfort women?
So during World War II, the Japanese Imperial Army took over 200,000 women and girls all over Asia, anywhere where the armies were, and they placed them into sexual slavery military camps. So 200,000 of them were across the sphere, I guess, and then in the Philippines there were about 1,000 women. They were as young as 8, as old as 42, and they were made to serve. They were raped maybe 18 times a day, easily. Lived in these camps 2 to 2 years, 2 weeks to 2 years, and so those are who they are.
And what is the struggle today at this late date?
And at this late date, well, many of them have passed away. They would be in their late 80s and their 90s. And in the last 20 years or so, they've come forward with their stories, and they've asked Japan for a formal apology. They are asking for reparations, and they really want this act never to happen again, which is why they have been really strong about coming forward with their stories. But to date, nothing has really been resolved as far as the Japanese government is concerned.
Your main character is Angel, a 14-year-old girl living in Manila. What is her interaction with the comfort women?
At first, she's just an observer. Her mother has gone away, and she's being asked to work in this convent, and one of her jobs is to support a particular office that works with the comfort women. And slowly, she starts to watch, and she starts to learn, and she's amazed by them. She's amazed by their strength and their tenacity, and she starts to really work with their movement. Later on, she's brought to the United States by her mother, and she doesn't want to go. She wants to stay with the comfort women, and she's, like any true teenager, being taken away from home. Difficult. She doesn't want to do it. And one of the things she finds out when she's in the United States is that, in fact, her grandmother, someone whom she loves and really looks up to, is also a survivor.
Mm. Now, this is your first young adult novel.
Yes, it is.
How is it that you came to write a novel for teenagers?
Well, I have been writing the story of young women for a long time, in particular Filipina American young women. And I don't think that in my mind I've ever made a differentiation between young adult or children. I'm telling the stories of the women in my community. That's what I think. And then my publishers took the book. They were very excited about it. And as they got to know my character, found that she could probably visit many different markets, one of them being the young adult market. And I have to tell you, at first I was surprised, and I kind of struggled with the idea, because that's not what I had. I just was writing a good story. But I went along with it, and now I'm quite pleased, because as I've been working with young adults, teenagers that are 12 to 14 years old, I find they're some of the best readers. They get the story. They have no trouble code switching. They're global in a way that I myself probably wasn't global as a teenager. You know, they have a way of walking into a room and understanding that there are people from all around the world living with them, and they're open to it. So I'm really quite pleased that my press was much smarter than me. Yeah.
And what part of the Philippines are you from?
I am from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
You're a cheesehead?
I am a cheesehead, and my parents are from the Philippines, but they met here in the United States. My father from Macabebe, Pampanga, and my mother from Quezon, the island of Luzon.
You have a fascinating essay in the book about your use of Tagalog words in an English narrative. Can you tell me how you came to write that and add it to the book?
Yeah, well, at first, as the press decided to go and market as YA and hopefully have the book taught in classrooms, they thought, oh, what an opportunity to create a glossary of terms and teach about the Philippines, which I kind of was like, oh, no, I'm not here to teach about the Philippines, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to get something wrong. But I am here to tell a story. And I wrote the Tagalog within the text to be understood in context. So I said, rather than writing a glossary of terms, why don't I talk about the way I have come into my own understanding of Tagalog, which was to eavesdrop on my parents' conversations and to figure things out in context. And so then they said, okay, let's try it that way. And I think, really, that's exactly how the teenagers have been taking the book. They've been reading in context, and I've said to them, you don't have to understand all the words, and they don't mind that either.
You were among the first, if not the first, American-born Filipina fiction writer. And I know that you have a lot of younger Filipino writers who identify with the stories that you have to tell. But have you reached a wider audience of non-Filipino readers?
I don't know. Have I?
I don't know. Do they come to your
Yes, actually
events?
they do. They come to my events. The books are meant for everyone to read. They're not for any, as I said earlier, when I'm writing, I'm thinking about a good story. I'm thinking about a strong character, and I'm telling stories of women and girls that I want to read about, but also who I want to share with the whole wide world. So as it turns out, I've had a lot of fun introducing Angel and Isabel and all the other characters to a wider audience. So yes, there is a wide, it could be wider.
It could always be wider, right?
Yeah, but.
Okay, one last quick question. You are also the director of the creative writing program at the University of Miami.
Yes, I am.
And you've been teaching young writers for a while now. With all the changes going on in publishing and the culture in general, based on your experiences as a teacher, are you optimistic about the future of reading and writing as we move into the 21st century?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And not so much because of the fantastic talent that comes through my program, but I'm going to take it back back to the YA readers. I've got nieces and nephews who are voracious readers, who want to read books in print. They like holding the book, they like smelling the book, they like writing their own books, and I think this is our future. Even though we've got technology with us and we've got iPads and e-readers and Audible books, we also have the traditional book that I see young people really eating up. So no, I feel very, very, very optimistic about the future.
Okay, that wasn't the last question. This is the last question. I understand that you're recording an audio version of your book.
Yes.
Is this your first time?
Yes, it is my first time, and that was kind of an exciting question to be asked to you know, not just can we do this, but they asked me, who do you imagine, who do you hear speaking the words of your book? And I said me. You know, I think that the language and the voice, it has been with me, and you know, as I've been writing it on the page and editing it, and I hear it. I actually hear it. I love language, and as I write, I was just telling someone else, I'm actually singing to myself when I'm writing. You know, so I said me, and they said absolutely. So I'm working on that now, and it's not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where will the audio be available, the audiobook?
Audible Books. Yeah.
Okay. And that's a download, right?
I believe so.
Someday, when you're done.
Right.
Okay. All right. M Evelina Galang, the new book is Angel de la Luna and the Fifth Glorious Mystery. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.